The Riot Podcast. Happy Wednesday. This is the May 3rd edition of the show, and what a show it was.
We are excited. Hopefully you enjoy the podcast, and as we get into a lot of... we have a lot of stories that have people's opinions about them. So you are always welcome as a podcast listener to make sure to text us what you think about it to 877-2RadioU, and then we might cover it again in another show.
Boom.
Boom, boom. You're right.
Today on the show, we talked about lots of good things. We talked about if Disney princesses are just too perfect, too cute.
And if you now know, once we talk about it, there's a feature that's usually very common with Disney princesses that is always perfect.
Yes, they all have it in common, and it's time for things to change.
Even though I don't feel like it's Disney princesses anymore. I mean, do you mean? Like it normally just feels like it's a strong female lead.
It is.
And like
Moana.
Yeah, like
But
in
she
a
is a
Disney
princess.
But not really.
She's literally a princess.
What's she the princess
Her dad
of?
is the whatever that island is.
Of her thing.
Her dad is the
Not a
king.
real princess.
But it's
Her
not.
dad is the king.
It's not the traditional princess looking for
Does
a
she
prince
wear a tiara?
story. No.
Not a princess.
They can be a princess without a
Does she wear
without a prince and a
Does
tiara.
she wear a dress? Not a princess.
a skirt? Like a
Not a princess.
She doesn't wear pants.
Does she go
Not a
to a
princess.
ball? If she goes to a ball, then she's a
Does she
princess.
wear slippers? Not a princess.
That sort of style. You know, like the old Disney animated movies.
you know, it's this kind of old-fashioned thinking that's gotten Disney in so much trouble.
No, I don't think so. I think we don't think princesses a lot when I think Disney as much anymore. When I was
Yeah,
younger,
you know why?
Sure, but
Because you've got a closed mind.
is that it?
That's the problem.
I know better. So, yeah, okay, listen to what we have to say or what others are now pointing out about Disney princesses.
We also talked about a change possibly going forward in cars where some of the riot wanted to go to a more old-fashioned feel.
And others. One time I went to go get my oil change on my car fixed, and I was telling the guy, I was like, hey, my car gets a lot of software updates.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, just to let you know, I didn't know if anybody has this issue, but I was pulling out of my garage, and the dashboard that tells you like your speed and stuff, the one
Yeah.
right in front, was blank, completely blank. And even if I turned the car off, it took a bit of time for it to come back. And the guy's like, well, that's very interesting.
Isn't that something?
He had no
that
answer for you?
Well, he looked through the updates and was like, I bet it's buried in there somewhere. But I thought your dash can cause some problems sometimes. The more techie they make it.
Actually, you know what, though, for that one, that can happen also to old style because I was in the car with my mom sitting up front when she was driving and the speedometer went.
broke.
Oh, it did?
Outrageous. It was, saying we were going like the max speed and then it would go to nothing even though we were still driving. It'd just go back and forth. It was all over the place.
But I feel like speedometers used to break way more frequently because multiple of my friends' speedometers broke while I was in high school.
So then could you,
Some people-
if you got pulled over, could you say,
Didn't work.
Oh, it
Yeah,
doesn't work?
I don't
Doesn't work.
Speedometer?
One of my friends did that.
You're supposed to have an
doesn't
innate
work.
feel for it.
For the speed?
Yeah.
Well, I could have just told the cop
According to the police.
I can't tell anything. The whole screen was blank.
You couldn't tell you were speeding past everybody else, Nikki?
No, I couldn't.
A likely story.
Nope. I wasn't feeling it that day. So.
Didn't have the feel for it. We also talked about how half of Americans last year did not use all of their vacation days.
We get some topics about this. Yeah.
It's a statistic that sounds outrageous. When you see individual stories, you're like, okay, that checks out. But when you hear 58% of people didn't use all their vacation, that's what throws us for a loop.
I think it's just because it's upsetting to you. Because
It is.
it feels like when someone's throwing away food, it's
Yes.
wasteful.
Yes.
It's very wasteful.
When Nene leaves a pizza out on the table and it goes rotten or whatever.
Did anybody talk to Nene?
But that's your job.
I'm not talking to
That's
him
your
about
job.
It is not my job to talk to him.
Whose
Nene
job is that?
Is notorious for just leaving things undone. Like he just will move on in his mind to something else. And so a lot of times he'll leave his Little Caesars pizza out in the break
Every
room.
time.
Every time. I didn't want to say that, but yes, he's pretty consistent. And so he'll just leave it out, the whole box on the table with like a piece of pizza or two in it. So no one knows if it's supposed to be free at that
Up for
point.
grabs.
But I mean,
spoiled.
But the worst one was yesterday.
Yesterday was the most egregious.
when he not only left out the box with a piece of pizza inside. I looked, one piece.
One
One piece.
But he also left out the plate with not one piece of pizza, but about a third of a piece of pizza
That he had
already started eating.
Yes.
Left it there.
Forgot about it.
So does that mean he ate almost a whole piece of pizza?
I don't know.
He might have shared it. You think he shared it with
With who?
anybody? Not us.
He's not sharing it.
I think he might have eaten the whole pizza, except for that last piece.
You know what? He's training for a marathon though, so he needs all the carb load and whatever.
Yeah,
right?
I forget who said it,
He should
but
have finished that piece that he left out.
Yeah.
whoever mentioned he was treating it like it's a frat room in there. It was spot
Yeah,
on.
that's what Hudson
It's like,
said.
just stop leaving the food in there.
Isaiah, do you remember? Did you watch Jimmy Neutron? Mm-hmm. Nikki, did you?
No.
Do you remember Professor Calamitous?
I do not.
You don't remember him?
Professor
He was like the
Clem-
bad guy. Well, his whole thing, like he was only in a few episodes, but he never finished anything.
Oh.
And that's Nene.
So you should tell that can
Nene
be his nickname.
That's right.
Professor Nene, and see if he gets
Oh, I
it.
know this guy.
Right,
Yeah,
he would never finish anything. Was like one of his
Got
quirks,
it.
and that's Nene.
Wow.
The cautionary tale.
That's what's going on here in our break room. That's a little bonus stuff, so you guys know the gossip of what's going on.
You know, I brought pizza today.
Did you?
Mm-hmm. It's
You gonna
for
leave it
everyone.
out?
No, it's in the fridge.
It's for
and
everyone?
It says on there, for you.
Oh.
Because, I labeled it.
Okay.
Because sometimes there's been some confusion in the past, a.k.a. Nene, where we don't know if it's
So
for
you're
us or not.
sharing pizza with everybody.
Yeah, I have a whole pizza.
Are you going to go have some?
I don't believe it.
What do you mean? It was
I don't know.
free.
You're a nice guy. You worked here a long time. You've never done this.
It's free. It was free.
Just don't doubt it,
Sometimes
will
when
you?
when you know people, you just get free pizza. I've got a whole pizza at home too. I'll probably, if you guys finish it today, I'll bring a whole pizza tomorrow.
Well, my plans have changed.
Yeah, now you get
Look
some
at you.
Yeah.
It's pretty good too.
Well, enjoy the podcast today. Let us go eat our pizza. Or not Nene's, though, because that was gross. Make sure you text and say hi, 877-2-RADIO-U, while you're enjoying this podcast.
We'll catch you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey, they're already eating anyways. Might as well do it on the show. The Riot with Nikki and Hudson. Radio U.
Nikki, we talked a while back, it was a couple months ago, about the giant seaweed blob floating in the Atlantic Ocean heading towards Florida.
Yes.
It is now actually, like we were talking about it back then, and it was barely reaching Florida. Now, I don't know if you've seen some of the footage. It's washing up ashore on the east coast of Florida.
So it's not red tide. That's another thing.
No.
This is a seaweed bloom that they've been tracking for quite some time. And look at that seaweed.
Yeah, it's an annual thing. They call it it's sargassum. Oh, I'm fluent in sargasm.
Ooh.
And
That's
it's
another sarcasm.
and so it happens every year, but this year the sargassum belt, as they call it, it looks like double the size of what it
Oh,
normally
yeah.
is. And so starting now is when it's getting big, but they say it's going to hit its peak in June, where it's washing up ashore on Florida. But you got months of this stuff
And it's
headed your way.
It's on the Atlantic side, and they say that it could just be months and months of really a bad smell. And if you like to walk the beach, it's just everywhere.
Yeah, and you might think like, well, how bad could it really be though? Well, I mean, they're using like full-on bulldozers to have to clean it up. It's not like you can just scoop aside some of it and clear your little section of the beach if you want.
You can't walk around it.
Yeah, you got to go. The only way out is through if you want to get to the ocean. That's how you have to do it. So, do you think you could still enjoy a day at the beach, East Coast Florida, if this is what you go and find?
I mean, I've only experienced like red tide and the death that can be because that's pretty foul too.
Yeah.
It's just got quite a smell to it. This is a lot of seaweed. That might be a bit much.
Yeah.
I would maybe take your vacation if you live where everybody vacations. Take your vacation when the seaweed bloom happens
Yeah.
because you don't need to be there.
That's a good idea, and go to the west coast of Florida.
Yeah, go somewhere else.
Just go to the Gulf Coast where it's all
Or you could-
all protected.
You reverse it. You're like, have you been to Canada?
Yeah, that's right. It's
So you
beautiful
just-
that time of year.
You go back and forth, but it is a lot of seaweed. And again, they just say it's normal, but this year it just seems to be way more than normal.
And I know we've talked about it a few times, and obviously it's big in the news. This is the type of thing that, like, on the Today Show or whatever, that's probably really big news for them. But still, there's families that plan their Florida vacation that have no idea about this.
Aww.
They haven't heard, and so they're going to pull up to Daytona in June, and they're going to be going, what the heck?
What is this?
It has never been like this before.
Well, we're happy to tell you, so you can schedule around it. But again, it's not like it's too harmful. It's just more of an annoyance.
Yeah, that I would say. I think if I was unsuspecting and arrived with this, I think I'd just make the most of it.
Yeah.
It's not like you're gonna. It's
Just
not like
let the seaweed envelop you.
yeah, become a swamp man.
Yeah, drag you down.
I think you could terrorize beachgoers. I actually think that could be a lot of fun.
So don't
just make the most of it.
He won't say no to his vacation then, but it is there. So they're just, letting people know that if you're heading to Florida, it's something to watch out for.
That is for sure.
The Riot with Hudson and Nikki on Radio U.
I love this. Slate, the website, slate.com, they've come out with a list for the summer of 26 basically new rules for weddings going forward. And I'm just going to kind of rapid fire through as many as I can. They have no explanation for these, but I'm going to rapid fire. You just instant reactions, or if you don't have anything, just move on. All right. Number 1, no more engagement parties.
All right.
Number 2, no more outdoor summer weddings.
Those are the worst to go to.
You don't like those?
They're so hot.
It does
It's
get
the
hot.
worst.
It does
Or,
get hot.
I guess it's harder if it's like in a barn when it's like 100 out.
Usually they have like a tent or something, though.
Well, yeah,
It
I
never
guess.
keeps you from sweating.
Yeah.
Actually, it holds the heat in, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay. 3, your closest friends, not you, should control the guest list.
That doesn't quite make sense.
Sounds crazy.
Wouldn't it be
What?
you?
Well, if you're in charge, then you have to make tough calls, and that can make people upset. If it's your friends, then you don't have to have that on your plate.
But how are you going to explain that? Oh, sorry about that you didn't get invited. My my buddies were in charge of it.
And they were tough, weren't they?
Yeah, they had a tough cut line. 4, it's entirely fine to deny anyone a +1 for any reason.
Yeah, as long as your friend denies them when they're setting up the guest list.
That's a tough one. Don't you feel like more people would say no to the wedding if they couldn't bring a +1?
Sure.
Especially if they're not like inner circle and so they don't know everybody that's going to be
true.
there.
But I think
maybe that's what you want, less people to
weddings
come.
are getting down to smaller amounts of people, and so usually a +1 is not someone you know, so
True.
they're not familiar.
All right, number 5, skip the bridal party.
All right?
Number 6, if you have a bridal party, you pay for costs incurred.
Yeah.
So does that, when they say bridal party, that means like,
Like a bachelorette stuff.
Is
Don't
that
you
what that
think?
means?
I
Just
think
the bachelorette stuff, not the bachelor stuff.
No,
Just the
That's
bachelor.
Bridal
more
party-
like your dress for the people that are in your bridal party.
bridal party is like-
makeup, the gifts and stuff.
that's like your best man and maid of honor, and then all of the other like people that stand up on stage with you there. And I do believe that because I've been a part of multiple weddings. I don't think it's right that I'm the one that has to buy the suit that you chose.
Oh.
I think that's kind of ridiculous.
Well, they're saying then you would have to pay for it all.
yeah, no, they're saying you pay for costs incurred if you choose to have a bridal party.
Otherwise, don't have one.
Yeah, otherwise don't have. I think that'd make everybody happier. Okay, never say black tie optional. Make up your mind. Good, I like that.
Okay.
It is fine to skip a wedding for any reason but RSVP early.
That's good.
No kids. If kids are needed for the ceremony, a car should be waiting. That's
outta
a
here.
tough one. That's a tough one. 10, just because they invited you to their bachelor party or wedding doesn't mean you have to invite them to yours.
Sure.
I know that sounds like it should be true,
It's tough.
but in practice, though, that's a tough one.
That's really tough.
Buffets are better than dinners. Like if you have a plate,
Yes.
that's good.
Absolutely.
And my favorite is there must be real food.
There has
You
to be.
has to have real food at a wedding.
I think, yes, the more hassle of actually making people come to a wedding ceremony means the more fun the reception should be, including great food.
It's not a bad list. Still doesn't make me want to go if you invite me, but it could be a little better.
But that's the idea, I think, for a lot of these is like get rid of some of the awkwardness, make it so that less people have to feel obligated to come, and it's okay to say no. And
Just
also,
RSVP
it sucks
your no.
less to go.
You're early. You have to tell them that you're not coming.
I'll RSVP to every wedding right now. I'm not coming.
That's a blanket one. And don't ask him to be in the wedding party.
But you can invite me to the reception.
You won't hear a show like this anywhere else. And that's probably for the best. The Worst of the Riot. Radio U.
One of the wild card movies of the summer. It's coming out later it's later in the summer. It's Gran Turismo.
Oh, for the video game.
Yeah, they've come out with a trailer for the Gran Turismo movie. And I don't know if you got to watch it, Nikki. I just went through it. I'll tell you what I like about it, and that is Hopper's in it.
I know. I love anything that he's in.
He does bring a lot of life to any role, it seems like. So
David Harbour.
David Harbour. The story of this Gran Turismo movie is that it's like a team of gamers that play Gran Turismo, and then they get recruited somehow to be a part of a actual real life in cars racing team, and they have to train and test and make it and then race in real life. And David Harbour is the trainer for these guys, but he is skeptical at first. And so it's based off of a true story. And so he's given them a hard time this whole time. And that is what I like. I like him.
Yeah.
He's funny. But that can't make the whole movie good.
So you're saying you don't like anything else about it?
And the rest of the movie. Okay, you know what else I like? Actually, you know what? Let's go back and forth.
The one guy's in there. Is that Orlando Bloom?
Is it Orlando Bloom?
I thought so. The guy who has the long hair.
Yeah, like he's the guy who's advocating. He's hired David Harbour to train these guys. He thinks that he believes in them. He thinks they can do it. David Harbour, not so much. So another thing. So here's something I don't like about the movie, or the trailer, anyways. It feels like I've seen the whole story already.
Oh, they kept saying it's just too long of a trailer.
It's a long trailer that literally feels like it gives you every single plot point throughout the movie. Don't like that. What I do like about it, very stylish. It looks cool, right? But I can't go see a whole 2-hour movie just because it looks cool. And then another thing I don't like, it just looks boring.
Well, at 2 minutes and 42 seconds, it's a pretty long trailer.
If I'm bored in 2 minutes and 42 seconds by everything that doesn't involve David Harbour, then I'm not going to be entertained by a whole 2-hour movie.
I don't know. It has something. It feels, more like if you just have time, once it's on streaming, it might make a good movie. But I love racing car games.
Yeah, I do too. But I like this. It looks like a more serious take on car stuff than like Fast and Furious. Mm-hmm. But it also looks way less fun, So
that's the part they chose to not put in the trailer.
Yeah, they kept that part out. Well, it's out on August 11th. I'm not sold on it, and I know some. I've already seen some gamers are getting upset because they think that it's like a movie about games that hates gamers.
Oh, yeah. So I don't like that take on it.
I feel like a little offended by that. So I don't know. I'm not on board from the trailer, and if it's tough if the trailer can't win you over. What chance does the actual movie itself have?
But trailer editing people, stop putting the whole movie in trailers lately.
Yeah, cut this one down. Make it like 30 seconds of the good stuff.
The only thing Isaiah loves more than the riot is himself.
Someone who probably still lives with his mother and hates himself.
You're listening to The Riot on Radio U.
I've got a little airline travel fair or foul for you. I know a lot of people don't like if you recline the seat when you're in an airplane.
Yeah, I think it's just not good.
And so
I know you can, but it doesn't mean you should.
I've got one way you can get back at somebody who reclines their seat in front of you if you're really this type of person that gets so upset about it. This is from the LK show on TikTok where they said, I turn on the little fan, the air conditioner thing, the little nozzle.
The thing above?
Uh-huh. And I aim it at their head, turn it on full blast.
That's a great idea.
At the top of their head.
Hey!
You think they say it's unethical, but they still do. You think it's unethical?
Well, I mean, they're leaning back. Actually, what's unethical is what the planes have done. It's not our fault. It's the design of the planes. Mm-hmm. And if you want to recline back, the plane allows you to do that. Mm-hmm. It's just hard because you might have someone who it just doesn't work out to have the plane in their lap, the seat. So I think that is a okay way to handle the situation.
I am with you, but for different reasons. I think the plane seats recline for a reason, and it's one of the few things that not even that I get to enjoy, but that make my plane travel less uncomfortable.
Yeah, so you're
I'm
willing
to
recline.
I'm a recliner every time. And here's a little secret. That if everybody reclined, we'd all be more comfortable.
I know, but it's so uncomfortable then it's just wrong. It's just annoying.
If I'm sitting in front of you and I recline, then you recline. Because it's more comfortable.
It's not. We have the same spot. We have the same space. You're just leaning back now.
Because instead of sitting at a 90-degree angle, I'm sitting at a 110-degree angle.
Not everybody likes to recline.
Which is more comfortable. And so, but I also think that they make the little nozzles with the fans for a reason. And they make it aim at the seat in front of you for a reason. So I don't have a problem with either one. I'm a full support of the reclining. But also, if you want to get back at me by, cooling me down with some air.
With some extra air, you do that.
I just think the reason I'm pro recliner is I think if somebody behind me is uncomfortable, they're going to be uncomfortable whether I recline or not.
But can't you read the plane, like read the room? And so if you have someone behind you that needs the space or is obviously uncomfortable or agitated by what you've done, just...
They're behind me, I can't tell.
You'll know. You can feel it.
I don't pick up on things like them murmuring to the person behind them, beside them loudly.
Or
This
huffing and
guy is
puffing.
reclining his chair. I just don't pick up on that.
I think you should. And then be kind enough to move the seat back up if it is such a big deal for that person. And just know you're going to get off the dumb plane soon.
Yeah, but you're not convincing me. I will turn around and tell them, recline your seats
So we can
as
all
well.
have this.
Yeah.
Well, it's an idea, but just, try to handle it as best as possible. And no one wants to be in the plane.
Yeah. Like I said, everybody's going to be upset no matter what. So you might as well recline and be a little more comfortable while you're upset.
Okay, it's all about Hudson being comfortable.
Disinformation, mispronunciations, bad impressions. That's Hudson. This is The Riot on Radio U.
Talking about Disney princesses, they've changed a lot over the years, right?
You think so?
Ever since Jasmine, like it used to be, they all had to be white. Now, not anymore. I think that's a great change. Like they don't look the same that they used to. But there is one thing that all Disney princesses have in common. You know what it is?
What?
The nose.
That we don't need a prince?
Now, that's a new thing.
Okay.
Have you noticed, if you go through every single Disney princess, the nose, tiny, petite.
Really?
Yeah, you think about it. But then it doesn't just stop there. Think about this. Picture the Disney villains that are ladies. Ursula, Maleficent, whatever the lady from Rapunzel's name is. Was it Mother Gauze or something like that? What's her name?
Yeah, that sounds right what you said.
Gauze?
Sure.
We'll go with Gauze.
Mother something.
Yeah. The lady from The Rescuers, she was evil. What do they all have in common? Giant, misshapen schnozzes.
Oh, is that how they're telling people that they're evil, is by the shape of their nose?
Is what Disney is trying to tell you, that if you have a big nose in Disney's eyes, you must be evil and wicked, and you're only fit to be a villain in their world. I didn't pick up on this, but now I know why I always identified more with Ursula than anybody else.
You don't have a crooked nose.
My nose is pretty big.
No, it's fine.
It is, okay, maybe it's more like the Rescuers lady, whatever her name is. It might also be
She was like
Ursula.
the most evil.
She was. She was trying
kidnapped
to
a child.
Kidnapped a child and tried to kill her so she could get a diamond or
What
something.
a terrible Disney
I know.
movie.
How are kids? That's not appropriate for children.
So-
No,
Sometimes when
not
you-
at all. We're worried
so-
about noses, yet they're looking at kidnapping.
When you
That's
take
nightmarish.
apart a Disney movie, sometimes it is a bit much.
Especially was that one from the 80s. That was a bad time for kids.
I just think, though, with animation, there was only so much, or how could you tell the story without sometimes using words? And maybe that's just what they thought. That was an intimidating nose.
Well, but the times have changed. I mean, Rapunzel, that's pretty recent. And they're still giving the evil characters large noses.
So you want the princesses to have a
Big
bumpier
nose?
nose?
Yes, I do.
You want
That's
the
what I think.
princesses to be unattractive and the villains to be
No,
attractive.
because a big nose doesn't
a
make
big
you
nose can be
unattractive.
So that's what
attractive
is
too.
that not what the argument is?
The art is trying to say that.
The art is saying that big noses are evil. It's not, and saying that little tiny noses are
Or what?
are desirable.
Are desirable. It sounds like a synonym. Just something I said. I can't figure out what it is.
The tiny noses are good and pure, and big noses can't be.
Listen,
If we just had a Disney princess with a giant nose, then everybody would understand that giant noses can also be desirable and beautiful and pure as well.
just put the nose in the long list. Princesses are too skinny, the feet too small. Like, it's all a list of unobtainable body image.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they're a princess.
but they're And we're not princesses, so we're not actual royalty.
I will say, you try throwing a giant nose on a Disney princess. See how that doll sells. Feel like it's not going to do as well.
You think that'll hurt the movie, the franchise?
Yeah, it might make a few people feel better about themselves, but it won't. The majority of people probably won't be super thrilled.
They say that, they're picking a typical physically attractive sort of style so that if you're looking at it, that's more favorable qualities when you're like, oh, I wish. Like, I wish I had that nose, something like that.
Makes sense.
What if we just make hotter villains? What do you
I'm
say?
down for it. I'm with it.
You have found a fix.
Yes.
I think it sounds
We've nailed
grand.
it.
So you don't want to change the princess's nose,
No.
but you're saying don't make the villain's nose the big one.
Yeah.
Just make everyone in the movie attractive.
Okay.
Does that sound good to everybody?
Beautiful.
Everybody happy now?
Problem solved.
Taken care of.
Add a little riot to your Instagram feed. Follow @RadioU Official. The Riot. Radio U.
I want everybody to text in to the Riot hotline here
877-2-RADIO-U.
because I want to see what people are thinking about this. Porsche has made an announcement that in their 2024 line of cars and vehicles, they are phasing something out. They are ditching the touchscreen.
Oh, on the car?
Yeah, no more touch screens in the is it the console, the
Yeah, the
dash,
dash.
whatever. They're going back to the good old knobs and buttons. Isaiah, I've never been in your car. Your car, it's pretty new. You got a touch screen in there?
I got the old Apple CarPlay in there.
There you
Have a
go.
car, Nikki. I've been in
car-
Eric's. I know his is.
I've got CarPlay, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you guys think? Apparently this is something from what I'm seeing that people have been complaining about is that cars have gone over the past 15 years or so, more and more to touch screens, and people don't like that.
Well, there's a couple of things. It's probably a safety issue because then we're just like, hey, not looking at the road and touching everything.
Yeah.
But then I find a lot with my car, they're like, no, the car will tell you you're driving, you can't touch certain things. So that can sometimes be difficult because you have to wait till you're stopped to be able to utilize some of the features.
What things does it not let you touch?
It won't let you enter in a address if you want to try to find something. So
Things
it'll
like that.
It'll tell you like, oh, the car's in motion. You can't do this yet.
So what do you say? So I didn't hear an opinion though.
I don't know if I have one. I could see it being dangerous because it's more of a distraction. But you'd also probably, I don't remember like the knobs and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's been touchscreen for so long that I'm sure fiddling with knobs are probably just as distracting.
Yes, I agree with that.
You think knobs are just as distracting?
I think no matter what I think people aren't worried about the whole distracting thing because every single one of you are driving on your phone every day. So how much do you really want to get rid of touchscreens when you keep on
true.
pulling out the mini one in your pocket?
Well, then is Porsche just wanting to
Well-
be cheap and not have touchscreens?
It's Porsche. Do you think they want to be cheap?
Well, maybe
They
they have
want to
no
put a touch
choice.
screen and charge you more if they could.
Maybe they have no choice. Maybe they also realize that, no one uses that. You just use your phone tied into your screen.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you're like more and more, from what I understand, it's stuff like not even like obviously your GPS, you're still probably going to do that through your phone or something. And so they're still going to have a way to connect that. But you don't need a touch screen for that because that's through your phone. You can just speak it or whatever, probably. But you're thinking like turning up the volume, changing the radio station, which you would never do because you're on Radio U all the
Good
time.
call on that one.
Adjusting the heat and the air conditioning. If you have all of that, which some cars do, on your touchscreen, one of the good things they bring up here is you don't have tactile feedback on that. So if you want to turn your heat up all the way, you can do that without looking while you're driving. If you've got a knob, you just turn it and you can feel when it stops and you know which way the heat is. But if you've got a touchscreen, you can't. You have to look at it because you don't even know if you're actually hitting the button or not because you have to see where your finger's going.
Sure.
So
I mean, it's good points.
Statistical data does not
doesn't
support.
back that up.
Does not comply.
I mean, since like 1985, it's been pretty stagnant car crashes from the Ohio Safety Council. So I think the whole touchscreen thing, I think it's the same.
But just
Doesn't
because
make
it's
a
not
difference?
safe doesn't mean it's less convenient.
Well, they were also saying, okay, if you ever had anything with your touchscreen go wrong and then your whole thing's out. So, like, they want cars to be more like cars and less like this big, amazing tech thing that no one
Yeah.
ends up using. Or if the tech is the first thing that goes bad, then you're out of car for a while it gets fixed. So it can also be an issue.
But the Maps feature's incredible. If you got
It
Apple
is.
CarPlay,
You're fine.
You're not missing a turn. Like if you miss it, it's on you. And I'll give you this too. What do you think is more distracting? Holding the Maps feature on your phone in front of your face and looking down your lap, or looking at the big screen in front of you? I think looking at the big screen in front of you.
That's because I
Well,
see
it's
more
probably
people
safer.
watching a show on their phone.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
You can still have a screen. I think just it doesn't have to be everything doesn't have to be touched through the screen. I got one last point on this.
Okay, and then I have a couple text messages when we come back.
Yeah, you know what? I'll save my point.
You wanna do
It's
that?
that good. People should wait around for it.
Don't touch anything.
8772 Radio U. If you've got an opinion on touchscreens in cars,
Hudson, Nikki, The Riot on Radio U.
we're talking should car companies be getting rid of touchscreens? That's what Porsche's doing with their new line of, at least I'm looking if it's the Cayenne or if it's all their vehicles in 2024, but they've had touchscreens.
Yeah.
And they're phasing them out
Which-
because people don't like them, apparently.
It's not a worry. That's not our cars. But then it's a trickle down effect. You know, but you like, why do they want to get rid of touchscreens? Is it a lack of tech? You know, like a lot of things are still missing from cars, harder to make, more expensive. People are not using it as much. So is it good or bad?
Yeah, and I think we are, before we go any further, some are getting bogged down in the screen part where it's less about that. It's more about the having controls through the touch part of it, where can you just have a screen that's your backup camera and your maps come up on and whatever you can connect, but do you need to be able to touch it? And so to me, I haven't had that in my car, but I also don't see why that's necessary. And I can understand why people would be upset.
Well, I've got Max. He said I could live without a touchscreen. Give me a fast car, and I'm happy. So you want them to move that focus back onto the car itself and to
Okay,
make
fair,
it better. So that's
fair.
good. Tim says if they want to get rid of touchscreens, they should make the assistant more powerful than what it already is. Because Tim, many times we'll hear from Google's assistant, "Sorry, I don't understand."
Yeah.
So it
That's
can't
true.
can't work the stuff well.
Make it easier to control stuff with your voice. Seems like that would absolutely make driving your car easier and safer. Although it's also true that talking on the phone, which doesn't seem like it would change that much about driving, they say that does make it more dangerous. So
And then Ashton said prefers having a more tactile feel for sure. So bring back any knobs you want.
yeah,
No more
I'm-
touchscreen.
I'm with that. And actually, I could see the argument for bringing back more knobs in general. Forget about cars. Think about this, Nikki. You have one of those. You have a cat.
Yeah.
You have one of those touch stovetops.
You mean like a stove?
Without the
no,
like,
I have gas.
you have gas. Oh, you're
Yeah.
fancy, huh? Well, I know people with like the stoves that are touch screen.
Yeah.
And if you have a cat, it'll jump up on there and it can turn that on. It's not
Yeah.
going to turn the knobs if you have an old fashioned knob on there, but you got a touch screen. The cat, even if it's locked, will unlock. I experienced this before. Or think about this, Nikki. Or Isaiah.
I just want to make sure your first argument is that a cat could possibly change the feature in your car. I just want to make sure before we move on.
do you get stuff messed
Thank you
up
for
by
wanting to track along.
Okay, I
with
just
it.
want to make sure I'm following.
I'm
Continue.
saying
I'm
we
ready for the second one.
I'm saying that's not only should we get rid of touchscreens in cars, get rid of them in
Everywhere.
other instances.
Got it.
Because they're not necessarily more convenient. What about this? I'm not saying.
Hudson, I can't because now I'm just seeing the cat thing too.
The cat in the vehicle. Changing from music to maps.
Yeah.
Continue.
But you know what else you can't do if you have a touchscreen?
What?
Wear gloves.
Oh yeah, true.
That's true.
And I'm not advocating for necessarily going back this way, but think about how much easier it was. Do you remember when we used to have actual keyboards on our phones?
Sure.
How often did you type in something on your keyboard on your phone, like an actual little keyboard?
Yeah.
And that was wrong. But you do the swiping to text thing on your touch screen. You can't do that without looking. Two, it'll be gibberish half the time.
Sure.
It's not easier than just actually having a actual keyboard where you can feel where everything is.
I agree.
So I think
I do agree.
I guess tech companies are going to hear that and go, more tactile feedback on our touchscreens. Got it.
There we go.
But
Okay.
maybe we just can use actual buttons for some things.
Well, Jessica agrees with you, Hudson. The knobs are easier because, you prefer the tactile experience. So you don't have to take too long to look at what you're doing.
Yeah, right. Sometimes you want to do stuff without looking. And basically what I'm saying is I want to make things easier for humans and harder for cats.
And Abraham, the cat thing has thrown me for a
I don't
loop.
want cats to be able to cook.
Drive.
Got it.
Abraham says, I've had both types of cars, and my current car is a 2013, does not have touchscreen, and I prefer it with all the buttons. Simple is sometimes better.
That's perfect, yeah.
That's you right there.
I think that there's a lot of cars that don't have the touchscreens. You just need an older model.
Or maybe everything newer isn't always good.
Sure.
But then don't get a new thing. It's cheaper.
Sometimes
Save some money.
Sometimes this walks into the grumpy old man thing, I feel. So you just,
I want the knobs.
Sounds like we got a bunch of grumpy old men listening.
and I hate cats.
Like Jessica.
I don't want the cat
was.
to turn on the AC. I mean, I don't want it on.
The words too expensive aren't in Nikki's vocabulary. This is The Riot. Radio U.
Isaiah's found a survey on how often people or how many people are just skipping vacation, and it is wild. If I understand this right.
Yeah, it's like the Expedia did a survey talking about 1,400, 500 people. They asked them pretty much if they used all their vacation days last year. They did not. Over 50%, 58%.
Who's not using all their vacation
That's
days?
what I thought. When I saw this, I was like, that's ridiculous. I used it every day.
Yeah.
I would have used more if they would have let me.
And then a little extra.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you say 58%?
58%. So that's over half. And then they went through all the reasons that people said
Yeah.
that they didn't.
Hold on. Let me think of a real good reason. Okay, here's the only one I can think of.
Yeah.
Your vacation rolls over to the next year.
That wasn't one of the
keep 'em.
ones.
That's not even on the list?
That's not on the list, but I have heard people who've done that before.
Yeah,
But I
that's
don't
the
know if
only reason I can think of skipping it.
I don't know if
Otherwise,
that's not real. If that's truly not using your vacation. I think that's more like saving it.
I think it's not using it.
But you're going to
But-
use it at some point.
Yeah, but no,
That's
for
the
these,
idea.
this seems like it's people where your vacation just goes away and then you start the year over with your new days. They say they just didn't use it.
Yeah, some of the higher percentages of reasons they didn't. 61% said they found it challenging to find coverage because of all of the labor shortages. Also,
Not your problem.
Yeah. Also, workload when you return, that was a big one. Also, just planning a trip in general.
It's stressful.
It's stressful for people. And the last one was...
Wait, I got a pro tip for people
Yes.
who have that. You don't have to go on a trip.
You just stay home.
You can just get paid to not leave your house.
That's true.
That's
especially around
also a
Christmas
vacation.
time.
It's called it might be a new thing to you, staycation.
You just stay there.
Don't know if you've heard that term before.
We also... The last one was the whole money thing. Inflation.
Yeah.
Things cost more.
Again, just
Once
stay
again,
home. You don't
yeah.
have to do
Yeah.
something. But
That's pretty cheap.
I have a feeling there is a small sector of people that, I don't know what you work for, maybe government or just something to where they have more days off than we could ever possibly realize.
Yeah,
I also
that's
thought
true.
about that.
So they're like, well, I have 3 months off out of the whole year.
Yeah.
And you just can't use them all. We would.
Well,
but-
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Be careful what you say.
And
They just can't.
And when people talk about the whole workload thing, for some people, for them to just take a Friday off and stay at home, they would be like, why didn't I just go in?
Yeah, more
because now
work.
they're going to come in on
Yeah.
Monday and they have real jobs unlike us, and they actually are going to be behind on things.
Yeah. I mean, still take it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're
Still
for sure
take it.
taking
Just figure it out. Just figure, as in, if you have to take a vacation and you're not going anywhere, but you're working from home, and it's your vacation, at least you're not at the office.
True.
At least you can kind of be more comfortable.
Well, let's do a quick riot poll. If you text 877 to Radio U, how much time off does everybody get? How many days are we talking
Is this
here?
a negotiating
I
tactic?
don't know, just
I
curious.
think so. My roommate gets a month off.
Yeah.
And he gets a winter break and a summer break.
You can go to your
Unreal.
boss and be like, I heard such and such. And so you can start negotiating for more days off.
Yeah, and some jobs too. My brother has a job where he works 4 days a week
Mm-hmm.
and gets every holiday you could possibly imagine. Purim, he probably gets off. Just anything. So if you have
He's
that,
the one answering this survey.
that's right. Why
Yeah.
would he use all his vacation time? He takes more days off than he works normally.
That's right.
And that's the dream, by the way.
Find more Riot content online. Riot.radiou.com.
58% of people did not use all of their vacation time in 2022.
What an awful study.
Which to us, that's insane. But now everybody's texting in how much vacation time they get at their job.
Yeah.
And so
You can actually see it's possible.
yeah, that's right. For us, there's no way. Well, this is an admission that we'll make here about Radio U. We get not a ton of vacation time, apparently, compared to everybody else.
So let's see. Rick says I get 4 weeks off, 4 personal days, and 5 sick days.
Wait a minute.
And it
4
gets
personal days.
4 personal
What's
days.
a personal day?
If you just personally need to take the day off.
Just like if you're feeling like kind of like meh.
Yeah, you don't go in.
Like if you're kind of sad.
Yeah, you don't even need a doctor's
You
note
call
or
in sad to work.
or a mom's
I would
note.
love to call in sad.
Please don't
Just
call
a
in
sad man that doesn't want to
Just
work.
sad.
And then carried over 3 days from last year because he had a hard time taking all of it off. But he's going to do a better job at taking more Fridays off this year.
Yes, we believe in you.
Come on, Rick. You can do
Yeah.
it. Nathan gets 10 days every year, and those can roll over as well.
Oh,
It feels
okay.
like 2
Roll
weeks
over.
is the normal time.
If I had 10, well, I do have 10 days, and I would never, there's no chance I could get them to roll over.
because there's never any left.
Even if they did, I wouldn't.
Jason says I get 28 days plus 6 days.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Erica says, my former employer never wanted me to use my vacation because they wanted me to keep working. So they let me cash it out instead of taking time off.
Oh.
Some people can take money at the end of the year instead of your time off. So she'd get a double paycheck for those weeks.
I like
Ooh,
that.
that's
Now,
nice.
That's a
They
great
didn't do that
idea.
instead of a Christmas bonus, though, did they? Because that sounds like a thing a company would do.
Good question.
That I'm
So-
imagining and hating.
Erica was using that to pay off college debt. So perfectly
Nice.
fine with
Nice.
not having the days off. So there you go.
So there's some different ways it is possible to not use all your vacation if you have a lot of it.
You should use it. Use every day.
A lot of
Your
people, though,
your company doesn't care about
it
you.
seems like a lot of people get the 10 days off, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you're not using the 10 days.
Yeah.
You got to
If
use all
that's-
10 days. If you got 30, I understand, maybe a little more difficult, but you still should use every single day.
Let's-
And we thought you were harder workers at that. You just work harder at taking your days
Let's
off.
think about what would be the minimum amount of days where it'd be okay to leave some on the table.
To leave it on the table?
Yeah.
The minimum amount of days?
Yeah.
Like 2?
Okay, I got
What?
you.
Like 2 days?
You just want to leave those left?
I think that would be okay. You could leave 2 days
No,
left.
I'm saying how much, like, if you have 20 days, we understand if you don't get to all of it.
Oh, there's no amount of days.
365.
I would, if I could not work, I would choose to not work. That's a wild thing. If I'm behind, I'm behind. Sorry about it.
Sometimes, usually at the end of the year, I'll see people have like a few hours left, but that's about it.
Yeah, if you got a few hours left, I understand that.
What are you going to take, a half day? Yes.
Actually, you could.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
I will.
We're not sure who behaves worse, the Riot or their dogs.
I don't even know how to behave like a real human being.
The Riot, Radio U.
Is Would You Rather Wednesday. We've got a problem for you. You text in your answer at 8772 Radio U. This one's a little bit of a thinker, but I like it. It's texted in by Veronica at 8772 Radio U, who says, would you rather have to eat unhealthy food when people around you are eating healthy, or eat healthy food when people around you are eating unhealthy? So this is like, I've got to set the stage on this one. Think about this. When you're alone, you can eat whatever you want.
Okay.
But what you eat, either you're always going to be, you just have to plan it out, basically. And this is like all the way down to if you like are in a relationship.
Oh,
you go on
because
a
then,
date.
yeah, because if you're next to somebody. Now, does this count if you're always with, like, if you're just eating at a restaurant and there's other people around, or does that have to be people actually with you?
I think with
People
other people
with you.
People
With
with
you.
you. Yeah, if you're
Okay.
just at a restaurant and the other people have to be there, but you're solo, I think that you can.
Well,
eat
I don't
whatever
know.
you
Do I
want.
want him to see me eat unhealthy or healthy? So the would you rather question for today is, would you rather eat unhealthy when others are eating healthy, or eat healthy when others are eating? Wait, yep, unhealthy.
you did it
There,
right.
I got it. Okay.
Yeah. You
did
This
it
one's
right.
a confusing one.
So, what are you guys thinking?
I'm thinking I would eat healthy when others eat unhealthy.
Okay. Because is it more like a concern of what people would think about you when always around, or just
Or you
for
think
your
it'd be
body?
better for your health?
I'd say it's a combination of both. I eat pretty healthy as is right now, but I think that when you eat healthy, when others eat unhealthy, I think that you don't feel bad.
Sure.
But when you eat unhealthy and everybody else around you is eating healthy, then you can feel bad.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But
At least for me, like me personally, I would feel bad. For you, maybe you don't.
I'm with that. I think the one thing that crossed my mind, and I guess this actually would apply to both scenarios, is the worst would be not going to a restaurant. Like, let's say you go to Texas Roadhouse, everybody else is eating unhealthy, and you have to eat
Do
healthy.
the rolls count as unhealthy then?
Yes, absolutely.
No.
And so
It's all about, it's all about your diet, whatever it is.
people are going to, like, you have to really be careful not to make a show of it.
Yeah, that's the thing,
if it's your thing every time. Because if you have to eat healthy, like at Texas Roadhouse, for example, and everybody else is getting country fried steak or something, and you have to be over there with your salad, you're going to look like a stooge in a way.
Sure.
But the worst would be you go to somebody else, like let's say, your girlfriend and her parents invite you over for dinner. And either one, if you have to eat the opposite of whatever they've cooked up a meal, and then you have to eat the opposite of
That'd
that,
be tough.
that's where this is the killer.
That would be tough.
But Isaiah's right. If you have to eat healthy in that scenario, you can be like, yeah, sorry, but I have to really stick to this diet or whatever. But if you have to eat unhealthy and they make a healthy meal,
You look the
gonna look like
worst.
such
look
an
ridiculous.
idiot.
Well, text in what do you think you would go with at 877-2-RADIO-U and tell us which way would you rather go.
Yeah.
Your For You page would be a lot more fun if it had Hudson, Nikki, and Isaiah. Follow at Radio U Official on TikTok. The Riot. Radio U.
Your Would You Rather Wednesday for today, I think it's basically simplified. Would you rather always eat unhealthy when you're around other people, like with other people, not just when you're out and about? Always eat unhealthy around other people, or always eat healthy around other people? When you're alone, you can eat however you want.
That's your own private problem.
But it does include like whoever you're dating or married to or whatever. If you're around them, you have to eat unhealthy all the time or healthy all the time. Which would you choose?
So it seems like a lot of people are going with they'd rather eat healthy with others and then unhealthy behind the scenes. But Frog is going with eating unhealthy. So he's different. Let's see. Susanna says, wait, Isaiah's eating healthy? Like pretty healthy now? What changed? That's
I
your
eat
choice?
pretty healthy. I like healthy
does.
enough.
I think he does. He just eats pretty healthy chicken nuggets. So
Yeah.
He's
chicken
choosy, but he's got a good diet.
you can't confuse picky with unhealthy.
Yeah. Lots of people love to do that. I'm still trying to figure out, actually, even though I do think this is a good thought experiment, I'm actually trying to think of, and this is me, thinking of the argument for eating unhealthy around everybody else.
I don't know if there is one.
Besides just that, again, if you are always eating healthy around other people, no matter what they're eating, you might come across a little bit annoying to some people.
Yeah.
But then again, that's not your problem.
Now, if you're single, I think there could be a different answer because then you're just going out with friends or family.
That's
but you could,
right.
You could go home and eat whatever you wanted. It wouldn't affect it. But if you are with people, then you would have an issue.
That's right. Anytime your friends want to do something fun at a restaurant,
You could have fun. You could have a good time if you just
you could
wanted
have
to.
fun, but only eat healthy, though.
Just know that whatever you choose, you're just having a life of shame somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is, isn't it?
Because I think I'd rather eat healthy, but then if I was wanting to eat something unhealthy, you'd probably hide most of it anyway.
Yeah, true.
Think about it this way, too. If you're going, like, let's say you are single and you're starting out on dates, and the other person orders, and you always have to order unhealthy no matter how healthy they order, that would start to look bad, too. You'd start to look like a real goofball.
Would you rather Wednesdays? I appreciate the questions always, but I'm glad this is not how life is.
Yeah.
I'm glad we don't have to choose. For
Even
real.
though in practice I do eat unhealthy everywhere. Like, I'm saying all of the right things, but then I still wind up eating unhealthy everywhere I go.
Well,
so.
Veronica, thank you for the Would You Rather Wednesday. We always love anybody's questions. If you want to send one in for next week, you just text anytime at 877-2-RADIO-U if there's a life-altering question you want to ask for Would You Rather Wednesday.
That's enough of that. For more Riot content, head to riot.radiou.com.